Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Take a minute to find your seats. Most of you are probably aware that we stream our services every week. Are we on the air? Okay, it's David Weeks who volunteers to do our streaming, and Arthur, as you know, he does the slides for us. And this is our incredible. Oh, he's still picking up where we spilled water. Joseph, I was going to introduce you. Hi. This is our incredible new music director, Joseph Palazzolo. And all right, so before we get going, of course, welcome to the members of the board of the Society for Humanistic Judaism. Thank you all for being here again. I think this is the first time you've been here in person since the pandemic. Wow, it's a different world. We did not stream back in those days, that's for sure. But we do now. We get a pretty nice audience, too. A lot of people like to stay home and watch us in their pajamas, which doesn't make it as much fun for those of us who actually put on a tie and come here. But, you know, what are you going to do? A couple of reminders for those at home, as much as, and probably more so, than those who are here tonight. Tomorrow night, the Jews for a Secular Democracy organization, which is under the patronage, I guess, or the auspices, of course, of our Society for Humanistic Judaism, will be holding a national program, which everybody is invited to watch on Zoom. There's registration information in the newsletter, which you can always get at chj-detroit.org. It's right there on the front page. As well as in person. Yes, we'll be here in person. Rabbi Jairus and I and Joseph, who was graciously volunteered to come in, will do a brief Havdalah service to separate out the Shabbat from the rest of the week. And then we will be joined by two state senators from here in Michigan, State Senator Rosemary Bayer and State Senator Jeremy Moss, who is also the president pro tempore of the Michigan Senate. So they'll be here to talk about issues of religion and state here in our state of Michigan, and I assume also touching on perspectives that go beyond Lansing and the Mitten. I don't have the future dates here because it's May. Well, I can tell you that next week, Professor Pamela Aronson will be here. She's a professor of sociology at the University of Michigan, Dearborn, and this is the hopefully the third time's the charm proves to be true, because due to some circumstances we've had to put this off twice. She'll be talking about a subject that I hope will interest you, because it's about your grandchildren, in some cases your children. It's about Generation Z and the effect that the pandemic had on them, which was not nothing. I think it's a very, very important presentation. She has been a guest on a number of national news shows. She has written about this in a number of national newspapers and journals, and we're very, very fortunate to have her. She is a member of the congregation, and I hope that we'll get a good turnout next week to hear from Professor Aronson. The following week, I will talk about just a kind of a brief presentation. I'll be asking the question that all of America wants to know: are you woke? And what the hell does that even mean? Apparently it has something to do with Disney. I don't know. We have a friend here from Orlando, but apparently it means that you build a prison next to Disney. That's how this works. We'll figure it out. We'll tear it apart. Anyway, so those of you who are local, and those of you who live in far-flung places, that's how you say it in Yiddish, please join us. These services are left on YouTube until there's no YouTube. So you can watch them anytime. Yes? I don't know. You can ask, you could Google it, or you could ask Professor Aronson next week. Now, I'm going to admit that usually I get a copy of this with the names written in, and Rabbi Jairus sent them to me via email. And because I am a creature of habit, like all rabbis, I did not expect it not to be on my copy. So I would love that. That was my way of introducing you. So our readers are drawn from the board of the Society for Humanistic Judaism, as I used to say when you were here more regularly, and they are?
Darlene Bash, who's number 5. Come on. Jared Marisco, 7. Evie Goldstein, 9.
Apparently there's a
wait.
conflict here. It's
No,
a good thing we
it's
went through this
James.
exercise.
It's James
It's
McDevitt
James.
Phelps, and then Jeffrey Trusman is, where am I at, 9, 11? Okay, 13 is Marlene Cohen. Rabbi Miriam Jairus is number 15. And Carolyn Schneer, who is born and raised in this congregation.
Welcome home.
It's the last one.
All right, thank you. Thank you for pulling my coconuts out of the fire there, because I forgot to do it. And then, and just a note for our readers, we don't call you up. You're on your own. When the song's over, Joseph keeps playing, and that's your cue to come up. It's like winning an Academy Award. You get play on music. So let's begin our service. Arthur, if you will, slide number 1 of some number of slides as we begin to enter the mood of Shabbat. As the sun descends and shadows lengthen, the distractions of the day give way to the stillness of night. It is time now for us to see, not with our eyes, but with our hearts and minds. As the day gives way to evening, it is time for us to welcome Shabbat. And we do that with candles, and I invite Dorit and Yossi Ben-Gal to light our Shabbat candles tonight.
Baruch haor ba'olam, Baruch haor ba'adam, Baruch haor ba'shalom, ba'shalom, Baruch haor, Baruch haor, b'Shabbat.
Let us endeavor to find still moments, quiet spaces within to refresh ourselves, moments without ceaseless questions or inner debates, when we meditate only on goodness. Let us endeavor to nurture courage, recalling moments of strength. Let us remember days of fortitude and the power that we found. Let us endeavor to turn to light, to feel the warmth of a loving touch, our faces and fingers outstretched alive to each other.
Lecha dodi ligrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. 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 Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, yet habracha hi neviya, v'simcha berina u'v'tzola, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla.
There are times when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. When we gather on Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are times we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. When we gather on Shabbat, we consider our true place on this planet. There are times when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. When we gather on Shabbat, we remind ourselves that justice is our duty and a better world is our goal. Let us embrace this moment, a Shabbat gathering to unite, to learn, to better ourselves.
Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, lechu v'nelcha. Mekor habracha, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha
May we strive to lead loving, compassionate lives with our hearts, with our wisdom, and with our actions. These words we inscribe in our innermost being, aspiring to practice them day and night, teaching them diligently to our children, through our words and especially through our deeds, so that the next generations may learn to revere and celebrate life.
Tikvati, tikvati bi, eifo kochi, kochi bi, v'gam bach, eifo kochi, kochi bi, v'gam bach. Where is my light? My light is in me. Where is my hope? My hope is in me. Where is my strength? My strength is in me. And in you. And in you. Where is my strength? My strength is in me. And in you. And in you.
Can somebody please put their phone away? It's me? My phone's off. My phone is off, oh my God. Mazel tov on your ordination. Enjoy the rest of the night. It wasn't a phone call. I'm taking a new medication, and I reset it for 6:45, and apparently I goofed up. please continue with our sacred service. Go ahead.
The transforming power of love, the redeeming power of compassion, the healing power of forgiveness. These endure in every age. The joy which comes from sharing, the strength which comes from striving, the nourishment which comes from nature, these endure in every age. The sanctity of life, the value of truth, the primacy of justice, these endure in every age. Amidst never-ending change, may we have the wisdom to know and to cherish those teachings which endure for all time.
נפתח לנו שערי צדק, חן וחסד ורחמים. נפתח לנו שערי צדק, חן וחסד ורחמים. זה שלום, ויפתח לנו ונבובם. זה השלום, נפתח לנו ונבובם. נפתח לנו שערי צדק, חסד ורחמים.
Don't merely expect to find or to believe that life is worthwhile. Make it worthwhile. Don't merely see life whole, make it whole. Not knowing which should come first, to improve oneself or to improve the world, we end up doing neither. Actually, the only way to improve the world is by improving oneself, and the only way to improve oneself is by improving the world.
לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי, ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור. ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי, ולא אתה בן חורי להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורי.
Fun music here. When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willingness to sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then goodness encompasses our lives and we can begin to change the world.
Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, ze klal gadol gadol batorah, Amar Rabbi Akiva.
Amar Rabbi Akiva.
Amar Rabbi Akiva.
Amar Rabbi Akiva.
L'reacha kamocha, ze klal gadol gadol batorah, Amar Rabbi Akiva.
Okay, all you tall people. Let me call your attention to the circle. And in the circle, there is a dot. Magnified how many millions? Many, many, many millions. Pretend it's like all the other unseen dots.
It's not whiter than the others.
It's not brighter than the
Not brighter
others.
than-
On February 14th, 1990, as the first deep space probe Voyager, I left our planetary neighborhood for the fringes of the solar system. Engineers turned it around for one last look at its home planet, now 4 billion miles away. Carl Sagan wrote, "Look at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you have ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives." The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
Naaseh shalom, shalom ba'olam. Naaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol ha'olam ve'imru shalom. Naaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol ha'olam ve'imru shalom. Naaseh shalom, shalom ba'olam. Naaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol ha'olam ve'imru shalom.
In this community where we find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and hearts toward all those who need our love and support. Those who are ill, those who suffer pain of the body or spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. Tonight, our well wishes are extended to these members of our community and to their loved ones, to Ruth E. Goldman, Ruth Moltz, Rabbi Peter Schweitzer, and Jim Walker. And if there's someone whom you're thinking about as we go around the room, please feel free to share their name. Anybody over here on this side? Anybody on that side? Good, I'm glad to hear that people's friends and loved ones are healthy. May all who suffer know that they are not alone, that we are there. May they be healed quickly. May they experience a refuah shlema, a complete recovery, the renewal of their bodies and the renewal of their spirits.
Mekom ha'koach betocheinu, mekorot ha'bracha michevroteinu. May the source of strength that dwells so deep within us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Shalom. Mekom ha'koach betocheinu, mekorot ha'bracha michevroteinu. May those in need of healing know refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Shalom.
Nizkor, in memoriam, some beautiful words by Arthur Leopaper. I got a promotion. I started to make the call. Then I remembered. I got sick and didn't know what to do. I started to make the call. Then I remembered. I forgot what that Yiddish expression meant. I started to call. Then I remembered. I wanted your recipe. I started to call. Then I remembered. Good news, bad news, wisdom and guidance. I start to make the calls, but then I remember. You aren't out there. You aren't going to answer. You're in my heart. I'll always remember.
Our thoughts turn to those who are no longer with us, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every people and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We recall now our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. Tonight, we observe the yahrzeits of these members and loved ones of our congregation, of William Eisen, Max Ellenbogen, Lila Breyer Liederman, Celia Meisner, Bruce Mumbrew, Paul Rose, Ralph Sarkis, Michael Scala, and Richard Slade. If there's someone whom you're thinking about, as we did for the ill earlier on, and you'd like to share.
Mike Feltzman and Joe Gate.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side? Yes, James? Mary? And anybody on this side? Helen? Did we miss anyone at all? We say Yehi Zichram Livracha. May memories of them provide blessing, by which we mean that as we go through life in their absence, we hope that every now and then our grief will be comforted by warm memories. If you can do so comfortably, please rise as together we recite this humanistic interpretation of Kaddish. Nit gadal v'nit kadash beruach ha'adam. Let us dignify and ennoble all people in the spirit of our shared humanity. Let us acclaim the preciousness of life. Let us show gratitude for life by approaching it with reverence. Let us embrace the whole world even as we wrestle with its parts. Let us each in our own way take up our share in serving the world and seeking truth. May our commitment to life help us to strengthen healing of spirit and peace of mind. May justice and peace permeate and comfort the house of Israel and all those who dwell on earth. And let us say, Ken Yehi, may it be so. Please be seated. So in a few moments, we're going to hear from my colleague, my friend, the president of the Society for Humanistic Judaism. The topic of her talk is a legacy of love. And apropos that, Joseph asked if he could do a special song. It's kind of an obscure song. I don't know that any of us have heard it before.
It's kind of rare. It's kind of rare.
It's hardly ever sung anywhere.
But Rabbi, I really want to thank you for remembering about it.
Thank you. Thank you. I promised that I would forget, and yet I didn't. But other things went by the wayside. So this too I remembered, that a week from Sunday, Joseph and two of his marvelously talented colleagues, one named Elliot Heaton and the other Nathaniel Pierce, will be performing in a piano trio, which the other two are a cellist and a violinist, because what I learned was a piano trio includes two other instruments that don't get listed in the word piano trio.
Right.
So I guess that's why you chose that.
It's classical shorthand, yes.
Yeah, so, but it's going to be a wonderful afternoon of music, classical, but some that's not as well. 3 o'clock, tickets are on sale at our website, and we're all looking forward to it very much. So please play us this obscure song.
This is going to take some audience participation, so I'm going to have to teach it to you.
Vive la France!
Love, 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 love. You know this. There's nothing you can do to make it can't be done. Nothing you can sing can't be sung.
Except that.
Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy.
All you need is love.
Yeah, da 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 da.
All you need is love.
All you need is love. Love is all you need. Boy, this is going better than I thought. Wow. Okay. Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can say that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. Here we go. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need. One more time. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need. Wow, that was a very easy rehearsal. You catch on quick.
If you think it's just tonight that we have this much fun, it's not. Joseph has brought not just music, but a lot of laughter to our lives too. Thank you, as always. Tonight we are actually very privileged to hear from a colleague of mine. Without becoming overly personal about the thing, it was a year ago tonight that my colleague, in another speech that she made for her ordination, pulled me out of something. And I will never forget that. That's the mark of a true teacher. And she is a teacher and rabbi at the Cultural Synagogue in Portland, Oregon, and Southwest Washington. She was ordained last year at about this time at the International Institute for Humanistic Judaism, and also holds a master's degree in Jewish studies from the Spertus Institute in Chicago. She has been enthusiastic about humanistic Judaism since 2006, serving as director on the SHJ board since 2014 and as president since 2020. Her path to humanistic Judaism actually began kind of abroad in Toronto. During her second year of working there, business reasons prevented Mary and her husband from returning to Portland for their family Seder. What to do, she asks? Well, her internet search led her to Orenu, our sister congregation in Toronto, and their family Seder. The lovely person who responded said she would like to find them a home Seder, though, instead. And she did. And Mary and her husband found themselves invited to the home of another colleague, our dear friend, Rabbi Eva Goldfinger, for a warm, friendly, and meaningful Seder. Unbeknownst to everyone at the time, it turned out to be an inspirational Seder and one that put her on the path to becoming a humanistic rabbi and being with us here tonight. Please join me in welcoming Rabbi Mary Raskin.
Hello, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. As always, it is wonderful to be here, reconnecting with friends, colleagues, and my esteemed fellow SHJ board members. 10 days ago, we commemorated the Shoah. We remembered those who perished. We honored those who are still with us. We acknowledge the trauma that continues to impact the descendants of those who perished and those who survived. Last month, there was a profound exchange of ideas about Yom HaShoah on the SHJ leadership listserv. Alan Malkus, president of Orem, Minnesota, wrote movingly about our humanistic Jewish approach. The Shoah is a reminder of the terrible things that human beings do to one another, and the strength of human beings who can survive such horrors. It also makes clear that preventing reoccurrences of genocide lies solely with human beings. No supernatural power could or did inspire, decree, foreordain such behavior, and none could or did act to end it. We are all responsible for working to prevent these crimes against humanity and to hold accountable those people who create them, regardless of their nationality, ethnicity, political persuasion, or religious beliefs. This commemoration gives us a chance to mourn the millions who suffered and to dedicate ourselves to respecting and caring for all people. In the same listserv exchange, Rabbi Eva Goldfinger counseled, "It is up to us to ensure that the legacy we leave our children is not one of hate, war, or nuclear or environmental disasters." It's the concept of legacy that I want to focus on this evening. One of the legacies the ancient rabbis gave us was that of asking questions. The early rabbis lived through a time of significant strife. Their legacy of asking questions is relevant to us as we wrestle with the strife we see today. One of the questions posed by the early rabbis in the Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers, is especially relevant. A rabbi asks, "What is the right path a person should choose?" The rabbi responded, "Whatever is honorable to oneself and honorable in the eyes of others." Hillel said, "In a place where there are no worthy people, strive to be worthy." He also said, "A person who acquired a good name has acquired something indeed." This question, what is the right path for us to choose, is relevant to us today. And how are we to consider their ancient responses today? What does it mean to be honorable? What does it mean to be worthy? And what does it mean to acquire a good name? My response is that honorable people, worthy people, and those who have acquired a good name are those that live their values from a place of love. As humanistic Jews, our strength comes from our values of love. Love of our Jewish cultural identity, where we draw strength from our history, rituals, achievements, literature, music, arts, food, humor, of course, and wisdom tradition. Love of community, where coming together in times of celebration and loss improves our lives through belonging, support, and meaning, reflecting our ethical core. Our love is inclusive. We welcome, as Jewish, any person who chooses to identify with the culture and traditions of the Jewish people, as well as the non-Jews who participate in our communities. All of you experience these values in your communities. What I want to share this evening is how your leadership practices these values. In addition to the Yom HaShoah conversation on the leadership listserv, there are two other conversations that I want to tell you about. One was about the use of the spiritual "Go Down Moses" in our Passover Haggadahs. The first email included an article from Global Jews that advocated retiring the song. The thoughtful and respectful responses gave all of us new ways to think about Passover, our Haggadahs, and the message we want to send in our liturgy. One respondent provided a contemporary introduction to the song, citing its history and importance. The other conversation came from a request for a PowerPoint presentation on humanistic Judaism that could be modified for a talk at a local JCC. Two leaders responded with links to presentations that were ready for personal editing and presentation, and we all appreciated their quick response. There is another important characteristic of those who live their values from a place of love. That characteristic is hope. Rabbi Wein said, "Hope is a choice, never found, never given, always taken." As humanistic Jews, we strive to live our humanistic values because we know that our foundation of love gives us hope and the strength to act. We know people have the power to achieve global survival, happiness, and dignity using their own abilities. We know we can work with others for a future where the dignity and freedom of every human being is upheld. We know that through science, empirical evidence, reason, experimentation, empathy, creativity, and artistic expression, we can address Jewish and universal human questions to improve the world and ourselves. The world needs people living the values I described. One of the most important ways the Society for the Humanistic Judaism is striving to meet this need is through our pluralistic initiative, Jews for a Secular Democracy. JFSAD is working to defend the separation of church and government. The dream for this initiative began in 2017. Today, there are organized cohorts in New York, Florida, and Michigan. There are over 30 videos available on its YouTube channel, recorded from the meaningful presentations that occur regularly. JFSCD also provides the opportunity to send messages to our local politicians on important national legislation. In addition to Paul Golan, there are 4 part-time staff, and 2 of them are located here in Michigan. Katie Ryder, the national coordinator, and Nomi Joy-Rich. And as you know, I hope I'll see all of you tomorrow. There'll be a panel discussion with Michigan Senator Rosemary Bayer and President Pro Tem Senator Jeremy Moss about the separation between religion and government in Michigan. I began with the acknowledgement of a difficult topic, the Shoah. We are not living in the time such as the Shoah. We are living in a time when we need to be concerned and active about the human rights of people within our country and the world. We must ask ourselves, what is the right path for us to take? What legacy do we, as humanistic Jews, want to leave? Humanistic Jews come together in love. Love of our history, love of our culture, love of learning, love of laughing and joy, love of community. It is this love that creates the right path for us. This love gives us, together, the strength to hope and to act. Rabbi Wein wrote, "Hope is an act of will, affirming in the presence of evil that good things will happen, preferring in the face of failure self-esteem to pity. Optimists laugh. Even in the dark, they know that hope is a lifestyle, not a guarantee." Without love, there is no hope. Without hope, there is no action. Therefore, our legacy must be one of love. And indeed, the ancient rabbis would agree. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Go and observe what is the right way that a person should embrace." Rabbi Eliezer responded, "Have a good eye." Rabbi Yehoshua said, "Be a good friend." Rabbi Yosef said, "Be a good neighbor." Rabbi Shimon said, "Be one who sees consequences." Rabbi Elazar said, "Have a good heart." Rabbi Yochanan said to them, "I prefer the words of Rabbi Elazar to yours because his words, 'Have a good heart,' include yours as well." Thank you.
See, Mary has the capability of doing what I am not capable of doing, which is to be brief. So Joseph usually gets a siesta around this time. But sooner that all the sooner we'll get to the Oneg Shabbat. And thank you for those inspiring words. It was very beautiful. We're going to sing that. I don't know how many of you know this, but you'll learn it tonight as probably you've learned a few other songs.
Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Behold how good it is when people dwell together, living as one people, hand in hand. What keeps us safe and strong is that we have each other, one human family across the land. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim
Thank you, everybody, tonight. Thank you, David, for the streaming, Arthur for the slides, Joseph, of course, as always, for the music. Shabbat shalom, everybody.